Hello, welcome back. I'm assuming that you may have come here from the second one or the first one, but either way, welcome. This video is for you if you feel stuck and you're trying to recomp or trying to build muscle, lose fat at the same time. I did part 1 on the nutrition mistakes I commonly see and that I made, and this is part 2, which is the training mistake that I have made and or seen as a personal trainer. And we already fixed the nutrition, so now it's the other half of the equation. And you can't out-train a bad diet, and you definitely can't out-diet bad training if you want a certain physique. So, I'm just gonna dive right into it. There's 5 mistakes, and I'm going to give a fix for each one, and I'm gonna keep it nice and sweet, because my iPad will die, and the Notes app is my best friend. So the number 1 mistake is treating every workout like it's a HIIT class, meaning circuits, not giving yourself enough rest time. Building muscle is not as easy as people make it seem. And if you're doing things on a timer basis or not giving your muscle the amount of time it needs to rest and recover to hit another set, it will definitely not grow. And also people who switch their workouts around all the time, they're not like, it's just a different circuit every time. I would lump that in here as well, but it definitely grows from time under tension. And I always explain doing certain exercises like practicing a song for a piano recital. You will only get better at it if you continue to do it. So the fix is to stick to a structured split of some sort, whatever that means for your goals. More legs, maybe have 3 leg days, 2 upper body days, but could be pull legs, upper lower full, whatever fits your schedule, whatever you can realistically stick with is the best program, is the program that you will do. And then hit each muscle group at least twice a week. If you're more advanced, you might need to have more sets or more volume in your workouts. And I always try to aim for personally in between 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week for hypertrophy at least, and 10 to 20 sets total each muscle group. And focus on form and tension. Tension as in muscle tension, but also intention. Be intentional and try to do maybe 2 to 3 cardio sessions a week. And if you're a hard gainer, I like to keep cardio in a little bit every day just because it makes me feel a lot tighter and I just like it. I like how it feels and it's a good way for me to get more steps in too. So I like to end with it 20 minutes, and obviously as I'm trying to cut, I can increase that time. I ended prep on having some days where I did 60 minutes of stairs, but mainly doing 40 minutes. And so obviously I don't want to keep it there because I want to have variables that I can adjust when it comes time to adjust. So I like to taper those down from what I did in prep. And this could be, even if this is like a diet phase or a building phase, if you're not necessarily doing a show, that's what I would think of. So definitely don't just chase sweat and calories burned for workouts is basically what to pull away from that. You want to be really intentional with what you're hitting and why you're hitting it and how many times and the intensity of those lifts. So be intentional with your workouts. Don't just willy-nilly it. And number 2, not training close enough to failure. And this one has revisited me in my journey. So sometimes I'll be really pushing hard and I'll slack off, and maybe I'll watch a video of someone else going really hard and I'll be like, oh shit, I'm not going hard enough. But being close enough to failure, or taking videos if you're not sure, because sometimes you're not as close to failure as it feels like you are. If the weight is still moving pretty quick, you probably got a couple more reps, but muscles do grow when they're challenged. So you want to make sure, especially for hypertrophy. So you really want to make sure there's multiple avenues that you can go down. There's some science behind this of you can do lower repetitions as long as you're getting close to that mechanical failure, and if you're doing low repetitions, you can do more sets. And it's just, for me, I feel a lot more mind-muscle connection when I do lighter sets and more repetitions. I like to be within the 8 to 12 range, but as you get more advanced, if you have some stubborn things, you can dip into more volume with certain exercises. And this is why experimenting with yourself is really important, because everybody is a little bit different. Some people might do really good with more volume. Some people, their body might react really well to more weight or resistance. So you have to learn your body and what you also enjoy doing. And so I want there to be, what I always do is when I have a rep where I can feel or see that my form is failing, I will give myself one chance to clean it up. And I got this from Dr. Mike. Give myself one chance to clean up my form. And if I do, go until my form fails again. And once it fails again, instead of regathering myself and going again, I will just rack it or drop it. And that has not failed me thus far, because I can start to feel when I'm like, oh, I feel this too much in my lower back, or I can feel that I'm doing this with my shoulders, or whatever the case is. So that's usually because my awareness goes away from my form for a second, and then I know if I regather it and I can push through a couple more reps, so long as my form is still good. It was more of just me thinking like, holy shit, this is getting hard, and I forget to do certain things. So that's a good rule of thumb to follow as far as failure. And sometimes your cardio can, that's why I also like to keep cardio in, because sometimes your cardio can be a limiting factor in getting enough repetitions for the muscles. And it's maybe your heart or your lungs. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you guys. Your heart or your lungs that are actually fatiguing before your muscles do. So that's also why I like to keep cardio in. But the fix is train 1 to 2 reps short of true failure. And they will feel ugly, but I don't want to see ugly reps, and I want to see full range of motion. If you feel like you can't get those for any reason, it's okay to fail. That's why you set your racks correctly, and it's also okay to go down in weight so that you can get the repetitions that you want. But tracking, oops, that's my reminder for my steps. But track your lifts weekly and make sure that the numbers climb over time. And so if you don't have a way that you're organizing or tracking your lifts, even if it's like just in your notes app, just keep track, because it's important, and you might not even realize, and this is coming from someone who's been training since I was 13, and I'm old now. I'm 20, I don't know, I was born in 1998. I don't even know my age, but 27? I don't know. Y'all guess, y'all tell me. But you will sometimes accidentally get complacent just because you don't realize it, and it still feels challenging enough, but you need it to be a little bit more, because your body can camp at maintenance if it wants to. So I think it's just a good motivator too, of it reminds me to just push a little more, and I don't have the excuse of I forgot what I used or this is what I felt like. And I can challenge myself regardless of if I feel a little bit tired, because I like the mental challenge of trying to compete against myself last week. So keep track of your lifts somehow and just make sure. And filming yourself is my last fix for this, because sometimes you don't realize that you are, like, it looks or it feels really hard, but then when you watch the video, it looks really easy. That happens to me a lot with squat, where I'll move pretty quickly, but it feels like I'm not moving quickly. But I think that's just because I always feel like I'm being perceived, and it messes with me. But don't fear failure. Flirt with it a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But number 3, you're skipping the boring stuff, like mind to muscle connection, tempo, good form. Those things go a long way when it comes to muscle growth, especially being able to get into full range of motion, utilizing and feeling the correct muscles for that exercise being used. And also slow reps also recruit more muscle fibers and can cause more muscle damage, which obviously leads to some more growth. And the eccentric part of your lifts is really key to hypertrophy. And it's a good way to mix things up if you've been a little bit stale. And that's definitely where growth happens. I really like eccentric stuff, especially on hip thrusts, good mornings. I really like tempo deadlifts or tempo leg press. All those things can be really fun. And a fix for this could be just finding an exercise that you could do a 2 to 3 second eccentric with and squeezing at the top. So some isometric work also is really beneficial for muscle growth. And again, filming sets just to make sure that your form is good and that you are getting full range of motion, because sometimes it could feel like you are, but when you see you can see what needs to be fixed. But sometimes we just can't see ourselves to get that feedback that we need. And I'm definitely a visual learner, so filming myself helps me correct my form or just realize things that need to be worked on that maybe I can't feel, like a butt wink or along those lines. So, number 4, you're overdoing your cardio and your steps. So steps do matter, and I will argue that adding a step goal has helped me with my physique a lot more than some other things that I've added. But cardio is also important, and it helps, but it is a tool, not something you should overuse, because it's going to be very counterintuitive. And especially, I know a lot of women feel more comfortable doing cardio sometimes, and they think that it'll still get them the same results as the gym, and maybe they just didn't feel like doing the gym stuff that day. That's not true. And it definitely can be not very beneficial for your cortisol levels, and that obviously doesn't lead to very good recovery. So you can do some stairs, you can do some incline walking, or if you want to do jogging, it just depends on what your goals are. If you want to maintain as much muscle mass as possible, you want to stay within a low intensity range, which is usually it's zone 2 cardio. So you want to stay there, and you should be able to sustain it for a long time if you're in zone 2. And you could also do things like intervals and sprints. I like to do that kind of stuff because I like how it feels and I like the functionality of it. But if I'm in prep, obviously I'm not doing things like that because it's not worth the risk of losing the muscle mass. But if you aren't necessarily prepping for a show or anything specific, and you just want to look better and leaner and feel better, you'll still maintain a great amount of muscle by doing things like sprints and intervals and cardio. Just make sure that your nutrition is also on point. Cue my other video. But so you just want to be intentional about it. And same thing with steps. Just don't go insane. 8 to 12,000 steps a day is great. And it's great for recovery overall. It's also just great for you mental health wise and other things. And it's also just a great variable to have in place for when you do want to lose a little bit more weight or just make small changes to gain some or lose some. It's nice to know what's going on so that there's no guessing games as far as why you are losing weight or aren't losing weight when you don't want to, or not gaining muscle, etc. So don't overdo those things, but use them as tools and don't burn down the house you're trying to build. So number 5, ignoring recovery, which is also part of nutrition, and periodization, which it means just like improving your program over time and changing things in your program that need to be changed over time. It doesn't have to be super complicated, and you can't go beast mode 24/7 is why this mistake is important. And your body does need periods of de-stressing and resting in order for adaptation to take place. So if you're always sore or plateaued and just always really ravenously hungry, those are probably key things to pay attention to. It's really good feedback that your body's giving you that you need to pull back a little bit. And we get into grind mode and we think that that's such a good feeling to chase, but don't shoot yourself in the foot. If you don't have anything really big to plan for, you might be able to get away with it, but eventually your body's gonna break down. And if you don't not get the results that you want, you might get injured and you might just like plateau for longer than you want. It's just a mistake that's easy to avoid just by making sure you have rest days, that you're at least fueling yourself properly if you do want to go super hard, which means you got to eat more food. And so just make sure that you schedule a deload this is the fix, every 6 to 8 weeks. Pull back some volume and just recover and to come back after that week stronger. And sleep 7 to 9 hours. I mentioned this in the other video. Hydrate, eat, and discipline is just sticking to the plan. And that plan is going to be very custom to you, but you also have to know your body and know when it's time to chill. And discipline is just being devoted to yourself. And if that means that you have to pull back a little bit to make sure that you don't get hurt, then do that. And some bonus tips, just stop winging it, track stuff, just track stuff. Write down your sets, your reps, and the weight. Just use your notes app, and each week try to add a couple reps, increase your control, the tempo, or just move better in general. Set an intention for your lift is really helpful, and the data will keep you honest and also confident because you know what you're doing, you do see improvements. And it also, that feedback and seeing those metrics do help you to adhere to your program better, because you're getting feedback on you improving, and that feels good. So overall, if you feel like you've hit a plateau as far as muscle growth goes, don't just blame your genetics. There's lots of things that you might be doing, because even in my journey, having been lifting for about more than a decade now, and some change, almost 15 years, there's a lot of things that I've circled back to that I've realized that I've slacked on, whether it be form, control, mind-muscle connection. So it is possible to let something slip because you're focusing on something else. So just think of these things, and sometimes it might just be a eureka moment that you forgot about something or didn't consider tracking something. So I hope this is helpful. My next video, not sure what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna see what's going on and figure it out. But it is Halloween this week, so happy spooky season. And the weather is getting really chill, which is nice, but peace.